Obviously, the biggest race was Zohran Mamdani winning his race for mayor. He is the first Democratic Socialist, the first Muslim mayor to run the city of New York. Mackenzie, before we kind of get into what this means, can you just talk about kind of what the energy was like in the city or being in New York when this was happening?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it was just so exciting and electrifying. Like this was the first time I feel like other than Kamala, but where it was just so exciting to see the possibility and just see what was not only going to be something that was hypothetical, but like he was going to take this. But it was still shocking to see how many votes Cuomo did get. That still
Yeah.
was a little shocking. But just like being here, I know people, there was watch parties, people
Mhm.
went down to where he was making his speech, people were like shouting on the streets. So it was just like a really cool experience to be in a city like this, especially for a mayor, because I've never really, I mean, other than DC and living in like Washington, DC, I've never been a part of a mayor race like this where it was so exciting, other than the previous one with Eric Adams, but it obviously was nothing like this. I think his social media approach was so cool. It was so innovative, even from not even just like using social media as a tool to communicate with people and like do man on the street interviews, but even like the design of his logo, like it just was eye catching, but it was young, it was fresh. It just seemed like literally not even to sound corny, but it just seemed like change. And
Mhm.
also just things that he just spoke to really, I feel like just really hit the nail on the head for people who actually live in this city. I feel
Yeah.
like so many times there's so many people who are in charge of these major cities where a lot of young people or millennials live, but they don't really live the same life. Even if they live in the city, like, do you really take the train to work? Like that, if you don't take the train to work,
You're not a
that
real
is
New
a
Yorker.
yeah, you're not a New Yorker, or it's just like you have to understand you're like advocating for things that like you're speaking about something that you're not even familiar with
Mhm.
personally. And then he's talking about not only like they always say these rent stabilized apartments, but the biggest thing was like freeze the rent. Like let's just start like
Yeah.
stop it increasing. Forget like creating more apartments that is going to be super hard for people to get, and also just playing into those buzzer words, but like also like that's what's really happening on the ground in New York City. It's not about just necessarily getting an apartment. It's like, can you afford the apartment once
Mhm.
you get it? Because I'm sure if you really live in here and you're hustling, you'll get an apartment. But the reality is, can you afford that after it goes up even
Yeah.
$100 when you're already strapped for cash? So I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie, I am nervous though, because it's one of those things where you get excited for all of the
Yeah.
possibilities and then like reality settle in and then it's like, but I do feel like, honestly, I don't want to sound like he won't get anything done. But if he gets even one thing done on his list of to-dos, like literally one, even if it is the free buses or the community ran grocery store, or whatever the grocery store
Yeah.
thing was, I would be very proud of him because it goes against the status quo and it sends a message that like we don't have to keep doing it the same way just because it sounds right, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing in Henry. I think feel like this is like conversations that you and I have had for like over 10 years now. But I think the thing that I think a lot of people have like actually like misunderstood about Zoran is like one, his authenticity. Like for New Yorkers, you can tell to Mackenzie's point, like he's very much so entrenched in what it means to actually just live here, like in terms of actually like the really, really small things. And I think another thing that I think people really got messed up was that like, oh, he's always focused on like, affordability is like this like talking point. And it's like, yes, he really was focused on that, but um he didn't back away from anything else. Like he didn't say, oh, affordability is coming at the cost of me talking about how I feel about Israel, Gaza, black people, trans rights, gay rights. Like he was very much so like, this is what I believe, and I'm going to stand so far in it. It's not a conversation anymore. And I think he actually provided a really good blueprint to be like, hey, actually, you can do both. You talking about an economic message doesn't have to come at the cost of you not talking about how Palestinians need rights. It's I stand what I stand on, and the conversation's done. You can't move me, and I'm not going to flip-flop on it. And I feel like a lot of people have actually, I'm curious your thoughts, Henry, but like I know how we've talked about for years, and you're the one who's always inspired this conversation of like it's changing where we're not talking about actually things that black people really, really need. And I think Zoran was like one of the first people I've seen this year to be like, I'm doing both and I don't care. And me being so sincere in it actually stops the conversation from me getting any flack. But curious your thoughts.
I feel different ways
Mhm.
about like Zoran Mandami. What's the man name? Mandani? What's
Mom
the man
Donnie.
name?
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
Mom Donnie. I be met,
I know.
It happens to the best of us, but like Mom Donnie, no disrespect. I do like from the stuff that I've seen from the campaign on social media, I think he was very energetic and like both of you all said, spoke to real people issues. And I think that's what was like so electrifying about his campaign. I do agree with what Noah said, like from debate clips, they were trying to bait him so many times about the Palestine stuff,
Mhm.
about the free rent stuff, and about different things, and he was just like, "This is what I said." He really didn't change, and I think what to Mackenzie's point of like seeing how Cuomo still had like did a decent number. The Democratic Party within a whole is kind of facing this old propaganda versus acknowledging where the new age supporters are going. And I think that's where a lot of leadership is going to have to really, really analyze, okay, how do we take action on this? Like we have to replace older leadership. We can't do this respectability game. I think Gavin Newsom is doing a great job at kind of charging, excuse me, charging that and empowering younger like Democrats or leaders to push back in more innovative ways, different than like the playbook of Democratic politics. And I think that's pretty cool. And Mandami is definitely a force. I hope that he doesn't get this like 15 minutes thing and then they kind of just like quiet him out, like kind of how they did AOC a little bit, but she's still finding her voice. And then Crockett, she's not going anywhere. So to me, those are him included. That's the new face of the Democratic Party. And if Democrats at large don't get behind that, I mean, we're just gonna continue facing the same BS that we're facing. Like Hakeem coming out today and how he even responded about the like shutdown, it was
We'll
just
get to
like,
that.
bro,
We'll get to that.
where's your sack at, man? So yeah, I'm excited about Mom Donnie, and I hope he actually does get a lot of things done because I do think a lot of misinformation was spread, uh, like throughout his just whole campaign. Like I'm sure you all maybe have seen that podcast, Joe Budden's podcast,
Yes.
where Ish was like, "Yeah, I don't like him," and then what's the
Mark Lamont, I think.
Lamont?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Lamont. He was like, "Well, there's a plan for that, basically." And you're mad at something. Like he was mad at the rent thing, basically. Like, well, you're gonna have to tax us more, do this, do that. He was like, "Well, actually, this is his plan," and he
Yeah.
didn't even understand the plan. And I think at large, that's how Kamala was affected. Like, y'all gotta shut up if you're not voting, if you're not reading the policies, if you not doing what's necessary because this man is actually trying to help you, but because of all the propaganda surrounding, oh, he's this leftist and he's for this and he's for that, instead of you going to do the research and thoroughness yourself, you're just kind of going around spreading misinformation, and that's not cool. We have too much to lose, and I think it does us no benefit by continuing to just go with the status quo of what people are saying. Go look it up yourself.
Yeah, and Mackenzie, I think that actually it pivots back to you, where I think there's already been kind of a tension between your governor, Kathy Hochul, where I think she kind of came out with the quickness and was like, "Well, that MTA stuff, I don't know." And it does seem to me like there's already kind of like a very
They
quick,
get on MTA free anyway. I didn't pay for the MTA at all when I was in New York. So shut up, Kathy. No, I'm just
or
playing. Go
but
ahead.
what I do think is interesting because I think people don't actually talk about this. Now, granted, it's different pricing, but Mackenzie, have you ever taken the Staten Island ferry?
No, I've
It's
never gone to
free,
Staten Island. Oh, I guess on
free.
the Driven, but I've never even gone to Staten Island for real.
It's free. And I think people don't talk about how like the Staten Island ferry is 24/7 free. And now
Oh, I didn't
granted,
know it
that
was
would not be as much
24/7.
as free bus service, but like the money is there for things that we prioritize. And if clearly there's enough political will to get a boat to go between Manhattan and Staten Island 24/7, you just have to change what you're prioritizing. But I do think, Mackenzie, how do you think that will be in terms of actually, it does seem like Mamdani's biggest op will actually be the governor. And I think that actually brings up a very interesting tension between like, he has a plan. It just seems like, to what Henry was saying, other politicians who are Democrats don't want to F with him on it.
I think that he's definitely gonna go head to head with the governor. Like
Mhm.
it's definitely gonna be like I feel like a trying relationship for sure.
Yeah.
However, to what Henry was saying, like No, I forgot what was Henry was saying. But just like the thought of people saying in to what Henry was saying about like the Democratic Party being able to get back behind someone. I feel like they need to make a decision because this isn't someone that I feel like in the long term you want to try to bury or like get rid of or try to hush, because what's something that was like astonishing is that this election has brought out so many more people than like I think it was since 1969. That matters. He like, and what people were saying that like what he was saying throughout the city, he gave people like hope. And hope is something that I feel like you can't bury that. You can't get rid of that. And I feel like they would be doing a major disservice. And I don't even know, because I just feel like the amount of people that are really behind him to go against him and really try to make it seem like he won't be able to do well. Because I definitely at this point don't think he would be stopping here at mayor anyways.
I don't,
So
I don't think so either.
I was
Uh,
about to say that hope word coming. We haven't heard about the hope word since Obama.
I
they've been
mean, but that's
comparing
real
it
though.
to him. They've been
Yeah.
definitely doing the comparing, and Obama reached out to him and
Hmm.
asked to be like a sounding board or whatever, which is also another signal to me that it would be very stupid, respectfully, of the governor to like, because
Show
I feel like it would just make you look bad, because I don't feel like he would stop at mayor. And then it doesn't really matter, right? When you were talking about Henry, about people like not knowing about what he's talking about, like, yes, that matters to an extent, but I think that this whole election just proved that even the amount of y'all that don't know what y'all are talking about and aren't really aware, it does not matter, because he has put life into the city where there's so many people that are standing behind him, that it's like whatever you believe, I feel like, or whatever ideology you're trying to convince yourself makes sense in this city, obviously more people don't agree with you. So it is what it is.